it's still on fire. All these years later, it is still on fire. Try to figure that one out. It's something we've kind of been joking about and referring to about this place, that even all these years later, and this is not just like, obviously this is what you would have seen either back in the vanilla era or even in the Cataclysm era. But even in Legion, when you go back as a paladin to do the Class Hall Mount quest, it's still on fire as of Legion. And I'm just like, okay, what? It just, and then you just kind of go, you know what? Forget it. I'm just gonna stop trying to figure this out, because apparently Blizzard just has forgotten about it, or just doesn't care, or just is like, why bother doing anything about it? No one cares about Stratholme, right? Yeah. Anyways, now I will talk more about, obviously, what happened here when we do the Culling of Stratholme dungeon from Wrath of the Lich King, but we obviously have a ways to go before we get there. We're almost done with the vanilla era, guys. We're almost done with vanilla, and then we'll do Burning Crusade. So we have a ways to go before we get there. But for now, we're going to deal with the current modern day. Now, this has not been revamped in... Well, okay, sort of. One half. Okay, so this was one of those... let's kind of backtrack a bit. As I've probably already mentioned before, during the vanilla era, there were some dungeons that were considered like mega dungeons, like 5 to 10 man big dungeons. Not necessarily raids, but almost like mini raids. Like when you look at this era, like for example... hold on, it's not here. Cataclysm. Zul'Gurub. When we get there in Cataclysm, Zul'Gurub was, of course, a raid back in the day, because that had our good old buddy Hakar. And, but then when Cataclysm came around, they revamped it to a dungeon for Kata. Now, some of these weren't necessarily like 40-man raids. I'll talk more about this I'll talk about this also when we get to Dire Maul and Blackrock Depths, which will be the two we do after this. But Stratholme was, and Sholomance was also one of these. Did I mention this when we did Sholomance? When we did Sholomance, that was also one of those like 10-man mega dungeons. So was this one, Stratholme. Now this has been divided into two separate areas. We've got this one here, the Crusader Square, and the Gauntlet. We're going to do the Crusader Square first. It's two separate areas because they changed this into basically two separate wings, which you can queue up as dungeons nowadays. But these were considered like mega dungeons back in the day. Stratholme was once the jewel of northern Lordaeron, but today it is remembered for its harrowing fall to ruin. It was here that Prince Arthas turned his back on the noble paladin Uther Lightbringer, slaughtering countless residents believed to be infected with the horrific plague of undeath. Ever since, cursed Stratholme has been marred by death, betrayal, and hopelessness. I like how it says, believed to be infected, when we know for a fact they were infected. This was established during the game, and then when Mal'Ganis showed up, he was like, hey, guess what? Look! And then he activates the infection within them and turns them into ghouls. We see this happen in the game, in the actual story. Now, as I've also talked about, I talked about this in Warcraft 3, when we did the playthrough of that, plus when we also did Warcraft 3 Reforged, was that this was what is known as a no-win scenario, or if you're into Star Trek, you'll probably know the term Kobayashi Maru, which is, of course, the no-win scenario thing. And even though Kirk may say, I do not believe in the no-win scenario, Arthas really was in a no-win scenario. Despite what some people have said over the years, and I've heard various people try to make arguments about this whole situation, about whether or not it was the right thing to do, whether or not there was a way to, in fact, stop this from happening, or to cure the people. But as we saw, and it was established in the game as well as in the Arthas book, the plague that Kel'Thuzad had made on behalf of the Legion was designed to be very effective, spread well, and do so in a very fast amount of time. They even discussed in the book, this was not in the game, but in the book they even say, we don't have time to go and discuss about how to cure this because this works in a matter of hours, if not even shorter than that. And considering the time that had already passed by the time the grain had been delivered, they had very little time to actually spare before the people in this town became horrible, mindless, undead monstrosities and ghouls. So the reality was, it was either we save these people from a horrible fate by killing them before they do so, or we just leave and let them, we leave to go figure out there's something we can do, and then by the time we come back, they have all succumbed to the disease and become horrible undead. Now, whether or not that's something people have said, oh, we should have asked them or given them the choice or something like that. I mean, at that point, you're talking about like, hey, you're going to become some kind of horrible undead monstrosity within a matter of minutes. Do you want that to happen to you, or would you prefer I just kill you before that actually ends up happening? And it's like, well, if you were given the choice to become a horrible undead monstrosity where you literally lose yourself or die before something like that happens, what would you choose? And I can think of quite a few people that would say, I'd rather you just kill me right now, and just have it be done. I don't want to become some kind of monster, This isn't something that's Warcraft exclusive, by the way. This has been explored in other various different fictions, even other Blizzard properties. In StarCraft, the Terrans infected by the Zerg virus. The mission where we have to kind of clean them out, when they show up, you can hear them say, please, kill me. And it's something that has always I've always remembered and has always resonated with me, that I could just picture that kind of thing happening to these people here in Stratholme, and they come to us as they are literally about, turning into ghouls, these horrible undead monstrosities, and say, please, kill me, I don't want to be a monster. And if that had happened, do you think people would look back on this differently? Do you think they would look back on Arthas differently, that he was granting them a mercy, maybe? That's kind of how I think about it. But we will, of course, discuss that a bit more when we get to the Calling of Stratholme and Wrath. For now, we're going to start off with this quarter here. Because then during this time period, that was, of course, back in the Warcraft 3 time. During this time period, this area, of course, the Eastern Plaguelands, basically becomes one of the main areas of the Scourge, but also a group known as the Scarlet Crusade. Yeah. Okay, so let's go inside and we're going to pick up some quests. I'm doing it on this character, my Night Elf Marksman Hunter, because she's one of the only characters I had that had not done the quests in both dungeons. Apparently I missed out on actually doing these dungeons with this character, which I'm fine with because it allows me to go ahead and show you guys the quests in this area. The Dreadlord Balnazar. Balnazar has risen an army of vile undead slaves. We cannot let him grow in this army. Kill him while we still have a chance. You'll see the Brotherhood of the Light is here. Packmaster Stone Bruiser.
Be good.
Men as far as Cortira spoke of the legendary Ezer Grimm's premium tobacco. It was a delicacy enjoyed by every single person of importance that visited Stratholme. King Terenas, Uther the Lightbringer, High Lord Fordring. Yes, they all enjoyed Grimm's specialty. Sadly, Ezra stayed in his shop when Stratholme was invaded, swearing on his life that the Scourge would never touch his tobacco. Venture forth and see if even one bit remains here. It is worth its weight in gold, I assure you.
Off with you.
Yeah, we're gonna find some people kind of left over, as you can imagine, because this place has, of course, still cursed to this day. I mentioned it's still on fire. But yeah, you can see there's already tons of undead here and such that are in this area. Yeah.
What's on your mind? What's your
Look, I'm not about to play games with you. The Scarlet Crusade's Crimson Hammersmith was nothing worth mentioning before. But now that Balnazar's risen, the damned Dreadlord has taught him that to make all sorts of powerful demonic weaponry. It's simple. Find their blacksmithing plans and kill the risen Hammersmith when he comes for him, so that we can make sure their army doesn't get their hands on demon armaments. They're powerful enough as it is.
Be good.
Then we have Elgor Dawnbringer. Inside the Scarlet Bastion is a painting of great personal value to High Lord Tyrion Fordring. Search for a painting of our twin moons. Chip away at the paint until you uncover the masterwork of love and family. May the light guide your actions, and please handle the painting with the utmost care. Where Market Row meets Festival Lane, you will encounter the Unforgiven. If you slay the entirety of Crusader Square, you will coax out Timmy the Cruel. Both of these former champions committed heinous acts against innocents here in the name of gaining unholy power. You must destroy both of them and rid Stratholme of their foul presence. Take caution, for they were powerful fighters in life, and their new dark powers will only have made them even more deadly. With the fall of the Scarlet Crusade, the disguised demon leader, Balnazar, released the possessed body of Grand Crusader Dathrahan, and went on a rampage, killing every remaining Crusader here. He then used his necromantic power to raise them all as vile undead slaves. Balnazar refers to his new army as the Risen. We cannot let him grow this army. They are extremely powerful, and unlike Arthur's Scourge, Balnazar will not hold his forces back. Kill him while we still have a chance, Hunter. So yeah, this is one of those that was changed for Cataclysm, because as he's referring to, he's obviously referring to what happened with Arthas holding back the Scourge from overrunning Azeroth while he was the Lich King. And because this was something that was revealed to us when we did Wrath, and we did the Halls of Reflection, remember? And then, of course, we, realized, oh, hey, that small part of Arthas within the Lich King was actually holding back the Scourge from just simply overrunning everything. But this is also another change from Vanilla, because, as he said, back in Vanilla, when you did this, Balnazar was here under the disguise of Dathrahan. Because remember, the Scarlet Crusade was founded by Balnazar. The Scarlet Crusade basically carried out their actions on behalf of a Dreadlord. Which probably also helps say everything you need to know about the Scarlet Crusade and why I consider them to be one of the most horrible and evil factions in this entire franchise. Because they were being led by a demon, and they were just like, yeah, let's go ahead and do these horrible things, yeah! In the name of the light, when in fact it was actually, they thought it was the light, but in fact it was a Nathrazim who was telling them what to do. So yeah, Balnazar, remember, he was also in Warcraft 3, so Balnazar is one of those well-known, big-name Dreadlords that goes back to Warcraft 3 and was still relevant here. Now, we do take care of him here, as I will show you when we go to this dungeon. And he disappears for a while because, of course, he has to take time to reform in the Nether and then come back. And he makes a return in Legion. Because we will encounter him yet again when we are as a paladin and a priest. And you're probably wondering, well, what happened in regards to the Scarlet Crusade? Well, another Nathrazim decided to take over. That was during Wrath. So, yeah, technically Balnazar is gone, but I guess you could also say, if you want to have this make sense, that maybe when we took him down in Vanilla, he was able to come back in time for Cataclysm and be able to be like, yes, I have returned, except he's not in disguise anymore. He's just like, I am Balnazar, now you are my army of the Risen. And then we'll take care of him here, and he'll be gone until Legion. So, anyways. I know this is a lot of talking, but let me just reiterate this, because I've actually seen some comments recently. This is not about gameplay. This series, these videos, this is not a gameplay-emphasized channel, okay? This is a channel and a series that is focused on, the story. Me showcasing the dungeons and the raids themselves. This goes to also my Soloing Raid series, because this has also been popping up in my Soloing Raids videos as well. If you are irritated by my amount of talking in this, and you're wanting more gameplay, then this is not the channel for you. These are not the videos for you. I'm here to showcase these dungeons and talk about them, the story and the lore, as to what's going on and why we're doing what we're doing. And then we're just, because I can solo these, so obviously gameplay is not really a factor here. This is not about gameplay, because I'm literally soloing this old content. So, if you're not here for that, then by all means, turn off the video and leave. I won't be heartbroken. In fact, if you leave a horrible comment, I may just outright, ban you or whatever. But anyways. I just had to get that off my chest. It was getting kind of irritating seeing that. So, anyways. I don't usually get upset like that, but that was just something that bothered me recently when I saw those comments. So, you'll see there's quite a few encounters here. In fact, many of these, you'll notice the only mandatory objective here is Balnazar. Every other boss in here is completely optional. They're part of the quest, yeah, but they are entirely optional. You'll also notice that this is also one of those ways that you can be able to farm rep. If you want to farm rep with like a capital city or such, you can go ahead and grab the tabard and then come in here and you can be able to just clear out a whole bunch of trash, because look at the amount of trash. Doing this when it's like, when you're leveling, it can be a little rough. I've actually done these dungeons like leveling characters, and they can be kind of rough sometimes. Just kind of a heads up, you know? Now, I'm not too concerned, because I can either one-shot these guys, or my pet can go ahead and one-shot these guys as well, so...
I don't have a target.
Not really a big deal. I need to change this up, because I'm not going to be using that ability anymore. In case you can't tell, I had my marksman hunter here join the Kyrian, but I never, got around to that, and since we're about to head to Dragonflight, that ability is going to be completely gone and useless, so... The only time it'll actually be relevant or be able to actually be used again is if I go back and do Shadowlands content, because it's not necessarily going away, it just won't be activatable and usable, so... Now, let me see here. I want to make sure I don't accidentally, like, Alright, I'm going to go ahead and put my pet on passive. I'm just going to go ahead. There's a bunch of stuff, and I'm just going to go ahead and outright sell it, so. But actually, let me go ahead and turn off auto-loot for a moment, for the time being. Alright. So over here, oh, hey, there's the tobacco. Huh, there's nothing inside. Interesting. Oh, also, hold on. What about the post box? There it is. No tampering with the mail.
I need a target.
So, I've heard that back in the day, you could actually get, like, a postman set.
That right now.
Like, just kind of, like, to wear around. The thing is, though, it wasn't really a big deal because it also wasn't that good. And keep in mind, this was before transmog became a thing. Transmog was not really a thing back in those days. Transmog didn't really become a thing until much later. Like, we're talking, like, Legion is when they finally, like, were like, hey, guess what? You can actually go ahead and do transmog if you want. Now, hold on a second. Let me see here. Did I miss picking it up? I think I may have. Because I thought I picked it up. Did I not?
I cannot loot that right now.
You'll notice ghostly citizens. That's an example right there of the kind of condition that Stratholme is in, especially when it comes to its people here. You mentioned, I mentioned the cursed thing. Yeah. I'm trying to remember where, because the tobacco thing is not triggering. Unless it is, I messed it up. I don't know. Because it says that is already being used. Hold on. Trying to... Huh. Where did the box go? The box was right there in the mailbox, and all of a sudden it's gone. Did I mess this up somehow? Forgive me, it has been a while since I've done this, so I used to try and do all the quests when leveling because they were extra XP. So, some people wanted to skip this stuff, and I'm like, why? It's extra XP if you want to level faster, but whatever. Was it that ghostly citizen? Was he, like, the one carrying it? I don't know. Hold on. Nope. Now, as you can see, there were also alternate pathways you could take. Oh, this also goes to the other side of the dungeon. So in case you want to do so, now we're in this portion here. Festival Lane, which I don't recall how much I've ever actually gone over here. Because usually, when you're doing this, it kind of like Ravage Cadaver collapses, but the broken body rises again. People just kind of go through here and then just kind of keep going through this way. So they don't really bother going this way. So this is not exactly something I have experienced too much, since, as I have said before, I wasn't playing WoW back in the days, so I can't really have personal stories about this, other than what it's like currently these days. The Eye of Noxtramus, the living are here! Oh, hello. I think there are also maybe one or two secret bosses that I could be able to, I guess, try and get up and going, but I'm not entirely sure if I'll actually be able to pull it off. Because, well, forgive me. Oh, there's one. There's the Forgiven. Or the Unforgiven, excuse me. I'm like, wait, really? It thought it was it said it was an upgrade. Wow, because I've got level 84 stuff here. Oh, yeah, that's a very low leveled legendary I have there. I'm not even sure if I remember when I actually put that on. Is that something I got in Legion and I think I got that in Legion, I guess, because I'm trying to remember when did I put that on. More undead postmen. No tampering with the mail! And there is Hearthsinger. I'm trying to see if there's a way I can go ahead and tag him without killing him. There we go. Ah, never mind. I auto-attacked him, sorry. It was an auto-attack. I didn't mean to instantly kill him. Oh, he drops the Piccolo of the Flaming Fire, so that's a toy you can get if you come here. So, anyways. Let me go back, sorry. I got a little distracted trying to figure out why I couldn't pick up that tobacco box, but whatever. So that was Hearthsinger Forreston. The culling of Stratholme claimed the lives of innumerable people whose only crime was being in the doomed city. A traveling singer and piccolo player named Forreston was one such victim. He continues to wander the city in death, unable to accept his tragic fate. So he's got Enchanting Lullaby, which was interruptible and something that you had to do, because otherwise it would put you to sleep for 8 seconds. Demoralizing Shout, you know, all that stuff. We also fought the Unforgiven. Lilia was a blade of righteousness among her people. After Arthas commanded his forces to purge the city, her sanity was ripped apart from seeing countless innocents die by her hand. She fell on her sword to escape the madness around her. Oh. Hi. She found a sword to skip the madness around her, and she now exists as a spectral being forever denied absolution for her heinous acts.
I need to get closer. I cannot loot that right now.
Whatever. It's like, you know what? I'm done. Oh, hey. No tampering with the mail. Oh, hey. Huh. So yeah, this is part of that postmaster set I was telling you about. And you could see that, because if you tamper with all the mailboxes, you'll have him show up, and then you can collect the pieces from him. They had low drop rates. I've heard that not many people were able to complete this back in the day. But you can see the set bonuses for back in the days of vanilla, that it was a blue piece, I guess, and that you had extra armor, resistances, more intellect, and more run speed, which, of course, back in the day, those kind of things were a big deal. So that still doesn't explain what happened over here in regards to the tobacco box, but whatever. I'm done. I tried to do it, but for some reason it's not working. Either I bugged it or it didn't work. I don't know. Anyways, go ahead and yeah. Ashala, can you go ahead and clear out these rats for me? Thank you very much. Alright, so next up is, well, let's just say that if you played Warcraft 3, you saw this name, you couldn't help but be like, oh my gosh, it's him, However, it turns out there's a different one. So, I was under the impression that Timmy was only one person in the game. However, it turns out there was more than one. This is Timmy the Cruel. Timison was infamous for his savagery on the field of battle. Some speculate his sadism stemmed from the ceaseless bullying he endured as a child. Now reborn as a scourge monstrosity, his mind shattered, he is tormented by those memories, causing him to answer to the name he once loathed. Timmy. Timmy! He even says it. Timmy! Timmy, Timmy, Timmy! Timmy! The cruel hand of Timmy.
It is too far away.
So you see, like, a lot of these former members of the Scarlet Crusade are now just risen undead on behalf of Balnazar. The Scarlet Bastion. This is Commander Malor. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Malor and a handful of other courageous warriors risked everything to protect the Scarlet Bastion from being desecrated by the undead. I said that wrong. Let me start again. Malor and a handful of other courageous warriors risked everything to protect the Scarlet Bastion from being desecrated by the undead. Tragically, they failed. Balnazar corrupted the fearless commander into one of his servants, transforming the zealot into a mockery of his former self. Which gives you an idea of what the Nathrazim like to do when it comes to, let's say, bringing these people back as their servants. They like to find something about themselves that they liked or cared about and be like, oh, you like that? Let me go ahead and ruin it and corrupt it for you, just to make you an even more malleable and powerful servant for myself. Like, they'll, like, twist and corrupt something that they love just to, kind of screw with them. Because, one, they kind of enjoy doing that. Two, because it allows them to be able to, help make them, like, a more cooperative and stronger servant for themselves. Now, what an interesting couple of books in here. Kil'jaeden and the Shadow Pact. Around the time of Medivh's birth on Azeroth, Kil'jaeden the Deceiver sat and brooded amongst his followers within the Twisting Nether. The cunning Demon Lord, under orders of his master, Sargeras, was plotting the Burning Legion's second invasion of Azeroth. This time he would not allow any mistakes. Kil'jaeden surmised that he needed a new force to weaken Azeroth's defenses, before the Legion even set foot upon the world. If the mortal races such as the Night Elves and Dragons were forced to contend with a new threat, they would be too weak to pose any real resistance when the Legion's true invasion arrived. It was at this time that Kil'jaeden discovered the lush world of Draenor floating peacefully within the Great Dark Beyond, home to the shamanistic clan-based orcs and the peaceful Draenei. Draenor was as idyllic as it was vast. The noble orc clans roamed the open prairies and hunted for sport, while the inquisitive Draenei built crude cities within the world's towering cliffs and peaks. Kil'jaeden knew that Draenor's denizens had great potential to serve the Burning Legion if they could be cultivated properly. Of the two races, Kil'jaeden saw that the warrior orcs were more susceptible to the Legion's corruption. He enthralled the elder orc shaman Ner'zhul in much the same way that Sargeras brought Queen Azshara under his control in ages past. Using the cunning shaman as his conduit, the demon spread battle lust and savagery throughout the orc clans. Before long, the spiritual race was transformed into a bloodthirsty people. Kil'jaeden then urged Ner'zhul and his people to take the last step, to give themselves over entirely to the pursuit of death and war. Yet the old shaman, sensing that his people would be enslaved and to hatred forever, somehow resisted the demon's command. How many pages? Alright, it's 9. Frustrated by Ner'zhul's resistance, Kil'jaeden searched for another orc who would deliver his people into the demon's hands. The clever demon lord finally found the willing disciple he sought, Ner'zhul's ambitious apprentice, Gul'dan. Kil'jaeden promised Gul'dan untold power in exchange for his utter obedience. The young orc became an avid student of demonic magic and developed into the most powerful mortal warlock in history. He taught other young orcs the arcane arts and strove to eradicate the orcs' shamanistic traditions. Gul'dan showed a new brand of magic to his brethren, a terrible new power that reeked of doom. Kil'jaeden, seeking to tighten his hold over the orcs, helped Gul'dan found the Shadow Council, a secretive sect that manipulated the clans and spread the use of warlock magics throughout Draenor. As more and more orcs began to wield warlock magics, the gentle fields and streams of Draenor began to blacken and fade. Over time, the vast prairies and orcs had called home for generations, withered away, leaving only red barren soil. The demon energies were slowly killing the world. The Seven Kingdoms. I'm not going to go ahead and read this one. I'm just going to flip through it kind of slowly. If you guys want to take a look at that, it kind of gives you guys a bit more lore about the places here on Azeroth. But it's interesting that he had these books here and he's kind of reading up on them. You know? It's like, oh, interesting. Alright, so now, before we go towards Balnazar, we gotta go this way over here. More of these risen guardsmen over here. Alright, so here is where another yeah, so you go over here to the blacksmithing plans. Like, oh, plans for blacksmithing. And then all of a sudden, it disappears. Thieves, I shall smelt your remains! Alright. So this is, by the way, there's basically nothing on the Hammersmith there. So, this is Willie Hopebreaker. Balnazar took great pleasure in leveraging the Cannon Master Willie's destructive capabilities in Undeath, calling his prized minion by the name of Hopebreaker. The Dreadlord relishes that he has twisted Willie and other Scarlet Crusaders who so despise the undead in life into his unwitting pawns. And again, that's just something that the Nathrezim like to do. It's like, oh, you despise undead, huh? Well, now I will turn you into one! Because they're just kind of jerks like that, you know.
Fire at will!
So, this fight can be kind of interesting while you're fighting him. He'll also have ads show up, and then what you're supposed to do is fill these cannons here with the cannonballs, because as you can see, more ads will show up. So, yeah. Like I said, I've done this fight leveling, and that's kind of one of the things we do, is like, while we're fighting him, we also have to try and keep using those cans to take out the ads so we don't have to deal with that, and it doesn't overwhelm us, you know? So if you go into some of these rooms, you can find some more interesting books from the day, like The Lich King Triumphant, or Kel'Thuzad and the Forming of the Scourge, The Birth of the Lich King. Very, this is, the Scarlet Crusade looking, having other lore here, the Civil War in the Plague Lands, Ice Crown and the Frozen Throne, War of the Spider. Again, this was in Cataclysm, so yeah, there's like extra lore here, kind of in regards to what happened in Wrath and such, so... Plans. Blight. Huh. This is Instructor Galford. Galford once took great pride in caring for the Crusade's most valued documents. However, as he lay dying, he watched in horror as his precious tomes were burned around him. Balnazar used this painful memory to imbue his servant with the fiery power that ravaged Galford in life. So yeah, he took the memory of seeing his precious books burning around him, how much it angered him, and just kind of kept that on him to kind of have him use that as power as a more willing servant. Like I said, very kind of jerkish in that regard. There's other terms I could use, but you get the idea. So honestly, this is kind of a mercy, just putting him down. It's like, look, I'm just gonna spare him of this horrible, horrible fate. Let me go ahead and, just in case, there's more stuff to look at here. The Scourge of Lordaeron, yep. And then here is the painting, or the portrait. The picture brings a smile to your face of love and family. That is Tyrion Fordring. And that's his family. Yep. And then, of course, here is the man himself, or rather, the Dreadlord himself, Balnazar. Balnazar has never tasted true death, but he has suffered bitter defeat. After the Cataclysm rocked the world, he slaughtered the Scarlet Crusaders in Stratholme and transformed them into the undead creatures they once hated. The Dreadlord now plots his machinations for vengeance upon Azeroth. So yeah, so if we are to kind of follow this, like, he was here in Vanilla, we took him down, and then Mal'Ganis showed up in Wrath, and once again did what Balnazar did, which was pretend to be the light and give them direction, which was to send them to Northrend and become the Scarlet Onslaught to go after Arthas because he wanted revenge. And then after Wrath, Balnazar was able to make his way back from the Twisting Nether and do all this, and now we're going to take him down. And then we won't see him again till Legion, but don't worry, we'll permanently kill him in Legion when the Paladins and Priests that we play will kill him in the Twisting Nether, therefore permanently killing Balnazar.
You fools think you can defeat me so easily? Face the true might of the Nathrezim!
So yeah, he does Mind Blast, he does Shadow Shock, Domination, he does Sleep, and Psychic Scream.
Damn you mortals! All my plans of revenge! All my hate! I will be avenged!
And so, we have thwarted his plans.
Well done, heroes. Balnazar had been a threat for far too long. He had a hand in the Scourge and the Scarlet Crusade, two of our most difficult foes. The Risen may have tipped the balance against us, had they time to fester. Regrettably, Balnazar is not yet finished. Defeating a Dreadlord in the mortal plane only sends it back to the Twisting Nether. He'll be back one day, perhaps even working again with his brothers Pharamothrus and Deathrahawk. For now, we have regained control over this half of Stratholme and should rejoice for that. The former bastion of the Silver Hand is back in the hands of its rightful owners. Countless treasures to the Order reside here, and we now have a fortified location to launch our next assault. This is where you come in, heroes. The war for Stratholme is not yet over. Leave this area and travel east to the Eastwall Gate. It is the service entrance to the city, on the last remaining opening into Lord Aureus Rivendare's scourge-infested domain. It will be... If we defeat him, Stratholme will be ours once more. I will meet you in Alonzo's chapel. It is the holy place where Uther the Lightbringer was ordained into the Silver Hand. It is the only building the Scourge cannot touch, and will be our forward base of operations in that half of the city. With your help, Stratholme will become the capital of the light and a new beginning for Lord Huron. Though unfortunately, it seems that this place will still be burning even by the time we get to Legion. Master Forgering will be glad beyond measure to see this painting again. Ding! I was literally 1 XP point away from reaching level 52, so I knew that was going to happen. You may have this as a suitable reward. Now it's saying, this has been defeated, that boss has been defeated. You may have this as a suitable reward. I found it nestled in the armor of one of the Scourge here. It's good we stopped Balnazar now. Before long, his army would have overtaken all of Stratholme, giving him a powerful center for his new unholy empire. So, sorry, Stone Bruiser, I couldn't find that tobacco box. I tried. I couldn't get it.
Watch your back.
Nicely done, lad. Without them, new weapons, they're just as easy to kill as they were when they were alive.
With you.
I'm chuckling that I'm finding gear that's like supposedly better than what I already have. So yeah, now we make the long run back towards the entrance. And if you're like, oh, you're leaving all this stuff, don't worry, it's going to be mailed to me. It's already getting mailed to me. The postmaster is like, hey, you left all this stuff in Stratholme. Here you go. Now comes the part that I have done many times. So there's really nothing interesting to get here anymore. Like, I mentioned, like, stuff that you could get back in the day, but some people didn't really care about it. You know, you couldn't transmog it, and it wasn't really considered very good anyways. But now comes the other half of this dungeon that, to this day, people still go back to because, as you might imagine, there is something kind of cool that you can get. And especially back in the day, it was a big deal. Oh my gosh. Come on, silly rats. Rats! Dude, come on. You're supposed to help prevent this. Hello? There we go. I was like, come on. I am going to try this one more time. I'm going to look over here one more time, see whether or not it actually fixes itself or not. I don't know. But right now, this just seems weird that it's like, hey, it's here. And I'm like, where? And I'm looking, I'm like, is it somewhere else? Did I just completely miss it? Because I honestly cannot remember right now where it's supposed to be.
I cannot loot that right now. I cannot loot that right now.
I guess not. So, whatever, I guess. Hold on. What? Nope, never mind. Alright. So,
I guess I'll just kind of forget about that, but whatever. This is a normal dungeon, so you can always step out and reset these. So, if for some reason it just got bugged or whatever, I could always just reset it and try again. But that's why I did this side first, because then he's like, alright, we've done this part, now we need you to go to the other part. Now, this was a part that I said was definitely updated after the events of Wrath, because, well, actually it was updated for Wrath. And that was mainly because of a change that happened in the Raid of Noxramas. And because of that, they had to also make a change here. And it's probably going to say so in the quest here. Now, you'll notice right away that there are already other players here. As I said, there is something else here that players still to this day come back to. And I was back here quite often on plenty of characters farming this place. Because, as you might imagine, it was a pretty cool reward to obtain here, which was... Whoops. Whoa, 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 whoa. Which, of course, was this right here. Death Charger's Reigns. I finally got this mount after, like, over 100 attempts. I have a screenshot. It was 103 attempts. And so that was the amount of times I had to keep coming back in here doing this whole thing just to try and get this mount. And I finally got it. I'm glad I don't have to come back in here anymore. So this could possibly be the last time that I actually come back to this dungeon, you know, for one reason or another. So, anyways. So yeah, it's the same dungeon, it's just now it's the other side. So we've already done this whole part here, so now Stone Bruiser is here once again.
Watch your
As the scourge swept through Stratholme like a plague, the Knights of the Silver Hand manufactured holy water to use against the invaders. They stored it inside small crates along with other vital supplies, and distributed them throughout the city. Unfortunately, the citizens turned to the scourge reinforcements before the supplies could ever be used. These supply crates will prove extremely useful to our efforts. Bring me a vial of Stratholme holy water. We need to have it replicated in mass quantities.
Off with you.
I already have it, because I found it in the other dungeon. Oh, is that the vial? Wait, is that just regular water? Don't you play games with me.
Off with you.
Oh, excellent. I think the holy water will prove devastating in large volumes.
Watch your back.
Intruders at the service gate! Lord Rivendell must be warned! So, there's the chapel. Uh-oh. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and cut it off here because my microphone is now starting to crack. So, I'm going to go ahead and cut it off here. And we will do this section of Stratholme when we return. I intend to do this as one video, but my mic is not cooperating, so stay tuned.